Yo, BJ Gaddour with the BJ Gaddour podcast. And joining me today is the legend himself from the Great Lakes, Minnesota, Jeremy Scott of the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast. How we doing, Jay?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. We were just talking before the recording here about how great it is to get to the point. Obviously I'm 41, you're 40, tender age, and we get to do things we really enjoy now at this stage of our careers.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to just sit and talk about hypertrophy and like riding an assault bike for the next however long I'm working for, I don't want to do it, man. Like I'm over some of it.
Well, we're big time NBA fans. We grew up during, honestly, I mean, the heyday, the golden age of the NBA, which was the passing of the torch from Magic and Bird to MJ. And we've seen some great basketball since. We've been blessed with Kobe, LeBron, and we're going to talk about a bunch of things today with a really 1 hour rapid fire NBA season preview. And those listening to, I have Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation tomorrow for a Lakers season preview. All the people who hate basketball that listen to my podcast are just so pissed off right now. But look, if you want the fitness, you got to get some basketball too.
I'll share a David Jack quote here. He famously said, he's like, "Take what you want, leave the rest, man." And this is one of those moments.
That really is more and more. That's how I'm approaching everything I do.
Well, dude, to be able to do what this is for this long, for any job, I don't care if you're a teacher, accountant, fitness, whatever, to do it for this long, and only talk about the same thing over and over and over with no evolution, it's just not fun. And this is all there's no rules to what we do. So no. This fits in perfectly. This is an interest. If you like it, and if you go hard enough, you might be just talking about Lakers shit 6 years from now, and that's all you do because that became the thing. I'm like, how awesome would that be?
That might be my exit strategy. I literally study the Lakers Nation podcast because they were doing almost 3 to 5 episodes a week during the off season. Nothing was going on. And just to see how they go about finding ways to just make content that is new enough. It was all the same shit, but it was just new enough. The same but different that we do with our, the workouts you have to make almost every day and the lessons. And so, that's a cool part of it too. And for those listening, beyond the fact we're both fans of the NBA, I'll give you my kind of lowdown with basketball. I played college football, but basketball has always been my first love. My body just lended itself more towards the horizontal nature of the football field. But Jeremy Scott was a high-level collegiate basketball player, still can dunk at this age.
It's getting harder. It's getting
hard. I see the footage, man. The shot is still smooth as butter.
I'll tell people, if you're – God, I remember, when I was young, we had a coach. He played in college, too. And I remember, one of those free throw shoots for, charity. Go around – in the Midwest is what you do. You have no money. So if your team wants to travel, right, you go around the neighborhood and be like, hey, will you, donate 25 cents a free throw, and I'm going to shoot 100 free throws, and whatever you make, that's how much money they owe. And our coach, God, he had to been I'm going to say old as fuck at the time, probably 55, right? But when you're 12, you're he's ancient. And I think he made 94 out of 100, but I think it was 90 of them were in a row, right? He just got in this rhythm, and I was just that is so impressive. But to your point, the shooting is what stays with you for most people. If you can get in a rhythm and someone can rebound for you and no one's guarding you, you can be pretty good. The ball handling turns the trash. Your athleticism, sadly, it does leave you. Now it's if I go outside, and especially because I don't play indoors, so it's concrete. If I am going to think about leaving the earth, I really have to think about it. And I go, is this the last time I ever do this? Which is kind of sad. When's the last time you see a sunset or do whatever? And you're but if I leave the ground right now, is something catastrophic going to happen?
Yeah, no, actually that happened to me last week as I was about to demonstrate tuck jumps. I do them in the pool all the time.
I watch video.
I haven't done them on land in a while, and I'm I did a nice warm up, but still, you're am I going up, and what's going to happen when I come back down? But speaking of shooting, guess what? I played all through middle school, and then once high school started, I just focused heavily on football and discus, and I just went full blown football mode to try to get into college. Then played again my senior year because I already got into Amherst and I was, his second semester of senior year in high school. It's all done. So actually it was great. I got to like reconnect with all my friends that I grew up playing basketball with. We won conference my senior year. But guess what my free throw percentage was my senior year?
Like 60?
25%.
Oh, that's like Shaq. Worse.
Dude, worse than Shaq. And it got so bad too because I used to go to the line and my coach he'd be, BJ, focus. It's like, which is the last thing someone who has fucking anxiety at the free throw line needs, is someone screaming at them. But I'm a rebounding and defensive specialist. I can finish around the basket, but it's a little bit iffy. But if you need like a shutdown, I'm like Dennis Rodman without the length, but just the physicality, if you will.
Well, and then it's like now too, like if you ever did play again, like in a league, which would be like an over 40 league. And it's like if you could do it with governors on your body and not, go crazy, you're already going to be like one of the best people just because you're in shape. Like that alone, you're already in the 1% of the 1%.
And that's one thing I'll mention too. I played in this, it was called the Business Basketball Association at the Kern Center in downtown Milwaukee. And there were some high level, like former semi-pro players. We had a couple NBA guys come through a couple times. What was his name? I forget his name. But anyway, but then it's a lot of guys like literally on the verge of tearing their Achilles if they make the wrong step. But, played. And there is nothing like a workout you can get from full court basketball, man. It is so fun. It's so competitive. And I miss it. I might eventually try to get back into a league around here, but I'm actually I'm rebuilding my basketball skills in the pool. I got like poolside hoops, just so I can take away all the impact. And so it's a slow rebuild because you have to admit, like, have you ever had more fun than playing an hour or two of full court basketball with your friends?
Oh, dude, I talk about all the time. Like I was like lucky enough to do it for a long time with friends. Like even if it was just once a year, like we would play until like late 30s. And I would always tell my wife, I go, this is like my birthday, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving wrapped up into one day. And we would sit, and again, now I couldn't walk for 3 fucking days afterwards. And I felt like just a complete bag of shit. And it probably took, 10 years off my life and 20 years off my joints. I go, but it was my funnest day by far. Cause I'm like, I wasn't thinking about work or life or any of the bullshit. I'm like, I'm just trying to like, every year I'd start, I'm like, well, I'm just going to take it easy. And then 10 minutes get in, and you're just trying to fucking kill everybody. And because it's who you are. And it's like, you get lost in the activity. And I like fitness for what it is, but I don't get lost here in the activity. Like these are workouts. Like they're fun, but they're not really fun. When I play basketball for 2 hours with friends, it's like 2 minutes went by. Like that's how much fun it is.
And we're talking agility. We're talking up and down. I mean, it really is. And then if you play low, man, it's about as physical as it can get without a helmet.
Oh, dude, yeah. And especially as you get older, because you start to push and shove a little bit. Yeah.
For sure. Just here's a couple things. Don't call offensive fouls and pickup.
You can't.
I used to get into fights with these motherfuckers. Why are you calling an offensive foul on me right now? Because, when I set a pick, man, I set the pick, but I'm not going to move. And if you run into me, you're going to feel the mass, the density of what was a football lineman. You know what I mean? But they call an offensive foul.
No, if you're the one doing it, like if I bowl somebody over, then I can call it. If I'm the one dribbling and I put my shoulder into your chest, I go, but otherwise, no. There should be certain, again, that's the tough part about playing pickup with people who aren't your friends. It's like you get what you get.
100%, which is one of your favorite lines, by the way, as an avid listener of the podcast. Let me ask you this. Can you tell people exactly where you played?
Yeah, I played in college at Waldorf University, damn near 20 fucking years ago now. Super, super old. Like I could play like back in the day, but now, well, honestly, and now I look at it too, how good these dudes are now. Like, dude, I'm watching kids who are 12, 13, like doing shit that I couldn't do when I was like 20. And so I'm like, I don't know if I even might play anymore. Like, but again, that's every sport. Like you watch MMA, you watch the NBA. They've gotten so good. It's insane to see.
it really what it is. It's the positionless nature of the game now. Like, you know, a big would be like, okay, just do the mic and drill and work on your post shots, but don't do anything outside of free throws. But now all these guys, they want to be able to play every position, and they have all the skills. It's been amazing to see.
Well, and you sent me like a little list before here, and you put like Wemby on there, just him alone. I'm like, I watched this dude. I'm like, this dude is dribbling like I would dribble, and he's 2 fucking feet taller than me, and like the range and everything. I'm like, or even just like when you watch Giannis, like full court, get a rebound, take basically 4 dribbles, and he's the length of the court. And it doesn't matter what foot or what hand they jump off of and what they do. And I don't think a normal person understands, like, to be right-handed and jump off of your right leg and dunk it in stride, in traffic, is like one of the most insanely athletic things for people to do. And they do it daily now in the NBA. Where like in the 1980s, you would never fucking see that. And I'm like, it's crazy to just watch like how insane it is.
Well, let's start there, because obviously he's the most lauded draft pick since LeBron. Actually, maybe since Zion, which I wanted to talk about too, because it's just that guy has endless potential, and it just seems like the diet piece and the conditioning piece keeps letting him down, or it might just be the fact that he's just got too much power for his frame. But Wembanyama is 7'4", 8-foot wingspan. Like you said, he handles the ball like a point guard. He's got touch around the basket and around the three-point line like a shooting guard, and very thin. But he's one of those like Manu Bo, for example. It was like 7 feet of legs and then a trunk and a head on top of it. But he's got a lot of really good proportion. Like he doesn't look it almost can look like gigantism sometimes, right? Like when you get that tall. But his proportions, like this dude has unlimited potential.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come down to, I mean, the injuries, I guess, like a lot of people, like if he can stay, I mean, the fact that he got with the Spurs is crazy enough. Like it's a good system. He didn't get, I mean, I'm not talking shit about like the Kings or something, but, you know, and the Kings are better now than they were, but it's like you can get stuck with some of these franchises where you kind of just get swallowed up. And I think at least he got into, it's like the Tom Brady gets with the Patriots versus the Browns. It's like, I'm not saying Brady's not the GOAT, but he goes to Cleveland. We're not talking about him today the same way we talk about him. And I think that matters for these dudes. But yeah, when I watch him to be that big and that skilled, it's crazy. I guess how they use him. And then if he can just stay healthy, it would seem to me like, I don't know how he doesn't just murder like over time. But again, it's kind of the NBA again, like if you ever used to watch the N1 mixtape tour, I remember they would do the interviews and Ali Mo was on there like in the hot tub one time. And the simplest way he says is like, the NBA is hard, dude. Like the NBA is hard. It's not for everybody. Like the NBA is hard. It's like, I'm happy just doing this because the guys are so good. And you have to be so durable for so long.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the issue with him. Like obviously he is thin, and those levers are just so prone to, you know, a rolled ankle or a twisted knee. But he just looks so balanced and athletic, man. And he's also in an era where he's not going to be running into guys like Shaq.
Oh no.
So it might not be that big of an issue. Like Jokic. Jokic is probably Aiden. Those are the only guys I can think of that could really body him up. AD is strong, but he's not like, you know, he's not a guy that's going to be pushing you to the basket. So he's coming into an era where he really, like, if he was coming into the Shaq era, he'd have to live outside in the paint. He'd be up by the key. You can't be coming in the paint.
No, the game is so much less physical than it used to be. So it caters to him. So it'll be interesting to see like how good. I mean, it's like it's hard because like they'll be like, oh, you know, Zion and then like Bron are the only two I can think of that had as much hype. And that's kind of, I guess, bothered me about the draft stuff. They'd be like, oh, he's better than like Bron was. I'm like, dude, like really? Like, I'm not saying like, do you remember LeBron? Like he's fucking killed forever. Like literally since high school, he is killed. The minute he came in the league, he is fucking killing everyone. He's not the best guy in the league, but he's like year one, top 10 dude, easily.
Yeah.
And he's never left that. I'm like, so to compare that, it's like, can you compare that some guy who's been crushing for 20 years. Like, I get the hype stuff, but I don't know. It's like comparing people to Jordan. It's like it's unfair to do for sure.
It is. And then, you look at what that hype has done to Zion. And even Zion didn't get, Zion got a lot of press, but, being on the cover of Sports Illustrated as the chosen one when you're still in high school, different level. And, but Zion obviously, and it's been mostly injuries, but when he's healthy, man, like that dude's like a mini Shaq.
Oh, he's great, dude. Like is he Bron good? No, he's never going to be. But if he can be a little bit leaner or just lighter, I think he'll be able to play more. I couldn't imagine being whatever he is, like 60, and being that explosive and moving that much weight through space all the time. Just seems like at 30 years old, how would his body be able to do it, let alone like 32, 33, 34? It's just like you get a lot of miles, man, on the joints, and just stuff goes sideways.
It's so much power. And again, like that power is expressed in the college game, which is like a third of the games, shorter games. I mean, the NBA season, man, like to me could, and like, I know it's entertainment and it's sport, but the people inside of it, like it could also be, if you wanted to like torture someone, give them an 82-game NBA season. All the travel, all the stress, all the post-game pressers. That's why, like, what I love to do. I live in LA. I live in California, but so when I moved here, I adopted the Lakers, and I like to take his team and now I do the whole offseason thing. I see what's going on in the offseason. I watch all the preseason games. I watch every game. And I love, it might be because of my roots in athletics, but I love to see a team from the beginning go through all of the obstacles, setbacks, injuries, and just see how people react, all the egos, all the personalities, and just see what happens at the end of it. And I just find a lot of pleasure in seeing, because I approached my business and my fitness the same way as another season. I know you probably have that same approach.
Well, yeah, there's times where, again, you say it all the time, playoff mode versus practice mode. It's true, because you can't, again, and these guys know, people are like, well, I can't believe these dudes take, these days off. I'm like, dude, it's a job, and I don't think we forget that until, like, Jokic will be like, hey, man, I'd rather go hang out with my horses than play basketball, which is fucking wild that he seems like sometimes disinterested. And it really does seem like it's a job to him, but it is. Like, they're not only like the physical part of playing that much basketball at that high of a level in a year, to play 80 to 100 games seems fucking impossible for your body. So, like, while this guy was, he had a DMP, didn't play this, I go, you get sick at your job, you get injuries doing the shit you do. I'm like, yeah, this is their business, to be able to be available. But the fact that these dudes can play even half the games, to me, like, that seems very reasonable. Like, even I know it's like, well, Kawhi doesn't play a ton. I'm like, dude, 50 games a year is insane. And so it's like, you got to kind of give them. I mean, it's tough. They're getting paid money and they're doing this. I couldn't imagine doing it, and just how taxing it is year after year after year. That's why to like watch like what LeBron's done is, I'm not saying he's better than Jordan, but that's just my personal opinion. But his career, I don't think anybody can ever match that, how long he's played at this high of a level, and like until recently never really ever been injured. It's wild to see.
Well, and one thing that's interesting too is I saw Zion in a presser, and he was saying that he had teammates this offseason call him and tell him that they weren't happy with his effort, that he has to put more effort out there. And that's just something that you never had to say to Jordan, to LeBron,
Kobe,
Kevin Durant, to Kobe. So, that's not a great sign. Because, again, a lot of what happens, you and I both watched the Johnny Manziel on Netflix. He was just a gamer. He played for the parties after the game. These are his words.
Yeah.
And you get to the NFL, man, and these guys are technicians. The film study is just as, if not more important than the actual practice or conditioning. And you quickly find yourself out of the league. So I think this is going to be a pivotal year for him. And The man just has to lock in his diet, and he has to do that outside the court body work that guys like LeBron have been doing since they were in high school.
And that's the part where you have to realize, oh, this is a job. And yeah, I might not like to eat this way, or I might not like to train. I just want to hoop, and that's fine. But you have such a small window too. Because again, if you're a Zion, like, I don't know, the odds of him playing over 35 years old seem very slim to me. Because if he's not good, what's he going to do? Like, there's dudes who will play for 20 years but be role players for 10 of them, and there's dudes who just won't. And you watch him, like, he doesn't seem like the guy who wants to be just the 12th guy on the bench. So it's like, dude, your career's over in 7-8 years. So it's like, this is the window you got to really sell out to it if you want to make it. So we'll see.
So you mentioned obviously LeBron 21st season. He's going to be 39 in December. My gut feeling as a fan of him since he entered the league, and I followed him from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland, and now in LA. I think this will be his second to last season, as long as nothing catastrophic happens to his body. Because, I feel like he's going to want to do the farewell season, announce it in advance, and do the whole tour, like MJ did twice.
Kobe had a good one.
Yeah, Kobe had a good one too. So that window is really closing. They have a pretty solid. This is maybe the most solid and deep Lakers squad I've seen head to head with their championship bubble team. But what are you expecting from someone like that in their 21st season this year? Obviously, what they've already done, like they said this, he worked hard in the offseason with the whole coaching staff to have a plan in place for ramping up over the 82-game season to get ready for the playoffs and really manage his minutes at a level he's never done before. But like you said, at that age, you've done just 2 or 3 hour game. And you're wrecked for 3 to 5 days. It's almost like you played a football game.
Yeah, I don't know how he's even doing it. Like, because he still takes them. There's guys who have played that long, like at that age, but they're such role players. Like when Vince Carter's at the end, he's just like spot up shooting Vince, and he's not starting, and there's really no major requirements. Like Ray Allen, and again, they're also lighter, smaller dudes. I don't know. Like I looked at the Ringers list of like the top where they rank everybody like 1 through 100. I think they have Brown at like 12 is where they put him, like the 12th best dude in the league. It's tough to say because like I remember him, like Miami Heat LeBron, like just fucking killing everybody.
Six God.
Yeah, but I don't know like where it's tough to say. I mean, if he can stay healthy, it's cool. It's like, but you watch him now and he's still amazing and it's crazy at the level he plays, but he takes plays off. Like there's shit that he does now where, again, I don't fault him. Like I do the same thing, but he's just not, it's not the same. And like, I don't know if the other dudes can do enough if he can't just turn it on. Because forever ago, LeBron could just turn it on. It's like all of a sudden he's sprinting the full length of the court and he's just bigger, stronger, faster than everyone. And now he's not that. And he doesn't have that. If it's a 6th gear or 5th gear, he's got 4 really good gears. So he needs dudes now to, if Anthony Davis can be the dude. And again, as Barkley calls them, street clothes. Like they got to stay healthy, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, the other piece too is that there's been 6 people that have played 21 seasons before, and the highest scoring average was Kevin Garnett at 7.6 points. So these guys are like, they're pure role players at this stage. Last season he averaged close to 30 points. So he'll probably fall in around like 23 to 25 points a game, which again, like we're talking 3 times the point totals of the closest, person to beat to play this long. So it's really fascinating. Again, I think it's very difficult for the average person. Like we have the ability to like adjust our workouts, push things back, move things around. I mean, yeah, they can take some games off and load manage, but it's not the same. You have to show up and play even when, and like you said, he's just become so good at picking his spots and taking the right plays off. Right. I mean, you just have to know like when it matters, and you don't have to play championship defense the whole game in the regular season. You just have to be able to turn it on in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, I mean, for these guys, like if they could just make the playoffs and get home court, that's probably what it is. Like you don't have to go out and try to be the the Bulls or the Warriors, win 70 games. Like it doesn't matter. Like some of these games, again, I'm not saying they take games off, but like they'll punt a game. Like if you're down by 20, it's like, why is LeBron going to go in and play another 14 minutes if they have zero chance to win? It's like sometimes you just, I hate to say it, but you mail it in because it's like it is so long, and your top dudes, like we'll talk about the Suns too. Like if injuries happen, the season's done for these guys. Like if some of the key guys are out, like the whole season's trash, and the window for the Lakers is basically these 2 years. And then when Bron's gone, it's like, where do we go from here? Because it's like it's a pretty big hole to fill.
It is, yeah. And again, like I still marvel at his last game, which was a sweep, but it was, it's yeah. I'm a Lakers fan. It was a competitive sweep. Those games were a couple possessions each way, but obviously they got swept. The Suns managed to get 2 games off of Denver. We're going to talk about the Suns' big 3, Lakers, Nuggets, but nearly 40-point triple-double at that age with a torn tendon in his foot. So again, like I know you do the same thing. I try to draw as much inspiration as I can because some of these mornings I wake up and I feel 85. But it's just a reminder. I think for him, just kind of studying his process, I just don't think he allows the space in his mind to let his age corrupt, because age corrupts. Like you start kind of feeling sorry for yourself, or you start thinking about your limitations versus just your mind's ability to overcome. I just don't think he allows the space in his mind for age to take away.
No, and he's been the man for basically his whole life. So you have this insane belief that you can basically be superhuman. And I always say it's never a problem until it's a problem. And he's, knock on wood, never had these catastrophic things where if all of a sudden that's why I watch like Klay Thompson, and you watch his journey and you're like, how fucking impressive that this dude didn't play for like 700 some days, and he's now back playing in the NBA, and he's still really fucking good. Came back from an ACL and an Achilles, and like LeBron's never had that. So it's like you are superhuman, until you're not. And it's like, so to his benefit, I think he's never had like to get mentally wrecked because he never had to go through this traumatic shit. So if he can keep that together, like he'll be fine, and as long as the pieces around him are good. But yeah, I don't think a normal person watches it. And even if you like him, hate him, doesn't matter. Appreciate how fucking insane it is. Because like I wake up now and it's like my body hurts, and like some of my workouts are just shit. And I'm like, all I'm doing is like bullshit exercise here to like look halfway decent. He's playing against 22-year-olds who are the freak of the freaks and is still ultra competitive. It's one of the most impressive things to see.
It is, man. Let's shift gears to another warm desert. I'm in Palm Springs. You're in Scottsdale, and obviously the Suns' big 3. You got 3 guys who can score 30 points every night.
Yeah,
not as much depth, but they still have like some really cagey veterans. What's that dude's name? He used to be on the Rockets. I forget. I just saw him play. They just played in Acrisure Arena in Palm Springs. It'll come to me. Give me a break. I'm 41 here. I forget names. But they've got some solid role players too. And I'm most concerned, even though Denver swept the Lakers, I'm more concerned about the Suns as a Lakers fan than Denver, to be honest. Just because Kevin Durant is maybe the best one-on-one player I've ever seen. And then Booker, man. Booker doesn't stop. And he's got unlimited energy. And you add Beal to the mix. I mean, what are your thoughts? You went to a Suns game last year.
Yeah. We go to them if we get good seats, for sure. My tissue doctor I work with treats like the second majority owner, so we get to sit on the floor. So like feet on the wood.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So it's like it was myself, him, and then right next to me was like Van Gundy. doing the announcing, which is fucking wild. Because then again, like, and in that front row when I was there, Mayweather walked by with like his whole crew of people, and when you get those seats, you get like all the backstage access. So like Ballmer's in the bathroom because they're playing the Clippers. He's like taking a piss in front of me, and who else back there? That guy. He goes to every game. He's a ton of Lakers games. He's an old dude, longer hair, wears the hats all the time. It's like always this weird fashion stuff. He travels everywhere. He always has young chicks with him.
Yeah. He's always at the Lakers games and the Clippers games.
Yeah, so he was back like in the VIP area too, which was crazy. So yeah, like and again, everybody here is essentially like a Suns fan for the most part, or they talk about it a lot, and they hated Ayton so much. Like just everybody, and I'm like, dude, he's a young kid. Like he's good. I know you paid him the money, so you expect him to be something else. But it's like sometimes dudes he's not Shaq, dude. Like you're not. There's only one Shaq, and he was not going to be that. There's only one Akeem. Like he wasn't going to be that. He was fine for what he was. So I think trading in, they had to do it for sure. But with the amount of money you spent, and you basically got 3 max dudes, like. You need to win like now. I don't know how many years they have. The window's like the Lakers, 1 or 2 at the most. But again, one of these dudes goes down, the season's trash.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you look like Booker. Like Booker makes tough shots, dude. Like the shot making is like it's extremely hard what he does. Like he takes tough shots, he makes them. And Beal has been a top 5 dude in the league scoring wise, like for a long time. So it's tough because like you can't guard all 3 dudes. Like if you want to say Beal's the 3rd option, that's fucking wild, man. Because whoever that dude is guarding him is getting cooked, like all the time. And it's like if you switch them, then it's Booker, and then Durant's a nightmare. Like offensively, like there's nobody better, I don't think, in terms of shot making. Like you have 3 of the top, if you want to say 10 shot making dudes in the league on one team. It's going to be tough to beat. But again, the window is small because it's a lot of money you paid for a small amount of time. So this got to be their year, I think.
And they just played the Lakers here in Palm Springs, the final preseason game, and I mean their bench guys ran the Lakers bench off the floor. Now we didn't have all our guys in, but they didn't even play Beal or Booker. And Nurkic is a solid big.
Yeah.
He's a big dude, man. Like he'll give Anthony Davis plenty of trouble on the glass, and so that team concerns me. It really concerns me because they have Frank Vogel,
your boy.
Yeah, no, that's what really, because I thought he was an excellent coach, and he was obviously the fall guy for the whole failed Russell Westbrook experiment. And the last thing you need is one of these coaches who really is about like the nuts and bolts with a chip on his shoulder about getting fired right after winning a championship.
Well, and he knows the Lakers. He kind of knows the system and stuff. So it's yeah, that's a tough one, man.
It is. Well, let me know if you get front court seats for a Lakers game. What about the biggest offseason story? Dame Dollar going to my hometown of Milwaukee.
I mean, they should be. It's tough because like we were on a text too with Dave Jack about Holiday and the Bandman hanging out together, which is a story in itself. It's tough, man, because like I like Drew Holiday. Like I thought he was awesome. Like defense wise, he's one of the better defending guards in the league, like easily. And Dame is not that for sure. Not that he's bad, but it's levels. But the shot making of Dame's what, 33? So he's kind of like in his prime window. And then if Middleton's the third option, that's a tough 3 dudes. They're good, man. The Bucks, I think they got better for sure. If it's out of the East, you got to think they're the favorites, I would imagine, for sure.
Yeah.
As long as everybody can stay healthy, it'll be and again, like Dame should, in theory, get a lot of good looks because he's never had, I mean, dudes like this around him. So, but that's crazy. Like it's Middleton's like by far the third guy now, but he'll get his 20 points, and if he's cool playing that role, then they should be all right.
I mean, they have right now arguably the best player in the league for the first 3 quarters of the game in Giannis. And then there is no better closer than Dame. So, it's going to take a while. It might take midseason until they kind of get their form. But obviously the pick and roll game, Giannis in his prime, Dame at the tail end of his prime. And I told my wife our property value just went up. We still own a condo on the river in Milwaukee, so very close to where the Bucks play. And they should. If they don't make the finals, it'll be a failure of a season with how stacked they are. And again, they have both Lopez brothers. They have just 2 7-footers they can just throw in there.
I know, and they can shoot too and score points. Like in the East, I don't think there's anybody else that's close to them at the moment.
I mean, the Celtics, they reloaded pretty solid. Obviously, they got Holiday. But Tatum and Jaylen Brown are an incredible combination. But I just feel like there's just something missing in the Celtics organization right now, where you don't have trust that they're gonna win the whole thing. I don't know.
Now they just seem to. Well, when I watch them, it's like I don't know how to describe it. Like when I'm a kid, it's different. When I'm watching the Bulls, I would always feel like they would win. Like no matter what, like they're gonna win. Or you watch like the Patriots like be down by 2 touchdowns and you're like, oh, they can probably still win. Where I'm like, I grew up in Minnesota, so I'm a Vikings fan. Like we could be up by 2 touchdowns and I feel like we would lose. I feel like that's like what the Celtics are. Like that's and I don't know how else to describe it. That's just how I feel when I watch them. Like if they're not winning, they have no chance to like win the game. And even if they are winning, they can probably shit the bed. So they're like the reverse of, the great teams. And I don't know if it's Brown and Tatum together, like they're good, but it just seems like they don't, and they've never won. So it's like they just can't get over the hump of whatever that is. Like you need either they need more pieces or I don't know, but it's when I watch them, like I just don't feel like they have what it takes.
Yeah, no, it'll be really interesting. And the East, I mean, obviously with the whole, we're going to talk about Harden because, Philly's no joke either, but it doesn't look like Harden's going to play another game for the Sixers. So
he's not gonna play at all.
I think they're right on the verge of sending him home. He's in Houston right now. He hasn't played a game in the preseason. This is the 3rd team that he's basically killed.
Like, how does that work then? Like, you're just like, hey, don't even come to work. Just keep your like. How can you trade him? Because people know you don't want him. So it's like you're gonna get shit in the trade for.
Well, that's the crazy thing about it is that Philly overvalues him because he's the perfect fit for the reigning MVP, Embiid. Harden led the league in assists last year, but on other teams, he's not valued the same way. So they can't actually get the value they see in him through a trade. But he is the type of guy, he'll just come and he'll play at 50% the whole year. What we've seen. Again, like I always lean on the sides of players against the front office and even against, coaches, because it's a players league. The players make the whole league. Everybody knows it. But this is like the 3rd team that he's just like straight killed. I was going to ask you if you ever had like a teammate where I don't want to call him a cancer, but it's kind of hard not to, in the sense that you're making the entire preseason about you. There's, you got 13, 14 other guys in that team trying to make a living, trying to do big things. And obviously I want you to get yours, but I mean, this is the 3rd team you've like straight killed. And you've killed, you killed coaches' careers. You killed veterans' chances of trying to win their first championship. I mean, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I've never had a guy that was like really good like that. Like you'll get dudes who are like they're bad. They're good, but they're not top tier dudes. So they're marginal and they think I should play more, get this, I should get this. Like that'll happen, but never a Hall of Fame. Like he's like regardless of what people think, like some of the shit that he's done individually, like you watch it, it's the style of basketball or not. He was having a tear for like I don't know how long, where like you couldn't fuck with him. No one could guard him. No one could do anything. He's fucking just cooking everyone. But when you get to the point where you go from team to team to team and it's worse, like when you leave than when you got there, like it's not good. Now it's like, again, I get the whole you and the owner got your beef thing, but I'm like, bro, like this is your career. And if I don't know, it would just suck for it to end like this, where it's like no one even like you're so good. It's like kind of like the bullshit Melo thing where I think Melo got, kind of railroaded. And I don't think a lot of it was his fault. And like there was a narrative about him, but like the Harden one seems to be true. Like you're going to go somewhere and like, if I'm the coach, like I got to deal with your bullshit and I might get fired and I might get blamed for it. And you're a head case and you're not as good as you once were. Like, I don't know. It's a rough one, man. Cause I'm like, to get rid of them. And then then the Sixers are fucked.
Yeah. I mean, Maxey is fantastic.
He's good.
You need three guys. You need three guys now. It's like, every team needs a big three at this point of the way the NBA is. But I mean, it's tough. Again, I'm always on the player's side. But man, he makes it hard. But like you said, I mean, he'll go down like he'll go down like a Dan Marino, one of the all-time great regular season players, whether it's fair to them or not that they didn't win a championship. Who's to say? Because, a lot of great players never won a championship, Barkley, but Barkley also ran into Michael Jordan.
Well, and that's I think it was like on the Gilbert Arenas had a podcast where they were talking about that. Like whoever pod he does, it's like him, Rashad McCants, and somebody else. Like Gil makes it obviously because he's just fucking wild, dude. Like I do like listening to him, even though sometimes he just goes nuts. But it was like, would you rather have like 50 million and a championship or like no championship and like 300 million and like with not even like a tenth of a second hesitation, and Gilbert is like 300 fucking million right now, doesn't matter. And he was comparing careers too, so it's like, would you rather have Barkley's career or like Robert Ory's career? And it's like, well, we're not. And again, no offense to Big Shot Rob, which I'll bang out in a second here. No one remembers him. No one talks about him. Like it's not a thing unless we randomly bring him up. Like Barkley is like, he's Barkley, dude. It's a one-name person, and you remember him forever. And no one would debate like, I'd rather have Ory's career over Barkley's career. I don't think anybody would say that in their right mind, especially if you're like a real player, because individually they're not even in the same stratosphere.
Oh yeah, and I mean, what Barkley, especially his MVP season, man, in the desert, in the valley. Right?
I mean, and again, if it's not Jordan, he's a champion. But there's a lot of guys: Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing. Gary Payton wins one. Sean Kemp doesn't. It's like Malone, Stockton. None of these guys fucking win.
Drexler.
Michael's the reason.
Yep.
It's like, and that's where it's like, it's tough to look at it both ways. On a side note, I did think about this the other day. They should really do a 30 for 30 on like the Kings Lakers. Like they really like that whole, because that doesn't get like the Bibby, Weber, Pazier. Like that's one loose ball rolled away, two Big Shot Rob makes it. The Lakers go ahead. If not, the Kings are going to be champ. They're going to go to the finals. They're probably going to win the championship. Like, yet they never know that they become the Buffalo Bills in the sense of like one of the best teams. Them along, it's crazy too, because like the Trailblazers too, against the Lakers when Shaq catches that lob from fucking Kobe, it's like they were down that game. Like they lose that game, they probably lose, and then that Blazers team ends up being it. But I just remember that Kings series being like, God, man, the Kings are really fucking good, but just couldn't get over the Shaq and Kobe and like Big Shot Rob.
No, so I have Spectrum, so they do all these like top 10 Lakers moments. Two of them, like we just talked about, that game where they're going down into a game 7 into the fourth quarter, 16 points trailing, the Blazers stacked. Rasheed Wallace is just a role player out there. I mean, like an incredibly stacked team, but the best 1-2 combination of all time in Kobe and Shaq, and they just find a way. And they have Derek Fisher, Robert Ory, like these killers. Ron Harper, just casually coming in, one of the best guys to ever guard Michael Jordan.
Yep,
that's Ron Harper.
Yeah,
that's why they got him. So these teams that never win a championship, or these athletes that never win a championship that were so good because we just celebrate we only really celebrate victory here, I guess, if you're going to give a priority. But at the same time, too, like what about that OKC with Ibaka, Westbrook, Durant, Harden? I mean, like potentially, but they ran into the Heatles. They ran into a peak LeBron James.
Oh, and they had Golden State beat too. Like they really had the Warriors beat, and like ate shit against them. But again, that's why I'm always like, it's tough when you look at careers, individuals. Like so much of it is like circumstance too, and timing. Like how many dudes ran into Bron and Wade in the league, and that's why they didn't win. Or like, oh yeah, we just happened to play. It's weird because people will do the Jordan LeBron thing. I don't like the comparison, but they'll be like, who's the best team in Jordan's era? And you're like, what's the Bulls? And they're like, who's the best team in LeBron's era? And you're like, Golden State. Which is kind of wild to see. Like, I don't know if that makes argument for or against one or the other, but it's like, you're not even on the best team, dude, like in your era. Cause like Golden State was so dominant for so long, but there's guys like, and again, I'm not saying Draymond isn't good, but again, circumstance. Draymond ends up on the Timberwolves. We're not talking about him.
And honestly, he might not have been even on the second best team. It was probably the Spurs.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. But I mean, he was so, and both he won. He won against both. But he also lost against both. Also, we're talking like all-time coaches he's playing against too.
Well, yeah, it's that again, circumstance, man, that matters.
So what do you think? This is so early. Obviously, the NBA tip-off is at the time of recording this a couple days away. Well, before I get to that, what do you think about the Lakers and Nuggets beef? Again, I'm a Lakers fan. They're playing opening night, but Mike Malone has talked a lot of shit. I've never seen a coach talk so much shit. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, it's weird because like coaches don't play, which is strange to me. It's like you affect the game, but like you're not playing, dude. So it's just bullet board material. Like I wouldn't do that if I was him, but obviously I'm not him. Obviously he felt slighted, I think, about how much love. I mean, I get it though, because the Lakers are the Cowboys, dude. Like it's like America's team, even though it's not. But it's like you talk about the Lakers so much. Like even when they're shitty, like they would talk about them. And I think for him, he's like, well, what the hell? Like there's so much Lakers coverage and we're talking about these guys yet. You're not talking about us. But again, the Nuggets had never done anything. So that's like kind of just what drives the nervous. It's you're selling the fight or you're selling the series essentially. But for some reason, like that rubbed him the wrong way. And so he just went on a little rip. I mean, it's tough because like they're fucking good too. Like the Nuggets are good. And so it'll be interesting to see those two for sure. Because it's, again, with the Suns and Golden State, like the West that's rough, dude. It's a rough go.
I mean, it's going to be all 500 teams. These guys, they're just going to kill each other this whole season. I mean, it's like we haven't talked about the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, the Twin Towers. I know that didn't really gel as much as people had hoped, but the Lakers barely made it through the Timberwolves in the play-in. Ended up losing to the champions in the conference finals. And they might just be a 6th seed. That's how good the West is. I mean, it's really incredible. It's going to be amazing to watch. What is your preseason prediction? We're not going to do like every team to make the playoffs. I guess top 3 to 4 teams in each conference, and who you picking to win the whole thing here?
I mean, if you're in the East, you got to think like the Bucks, obviously. I mean, if Harden can play, or maybe, I mean, the Sixers are good. The Celtics are good. The Heat are always, they just show up, I don't know how, but they do, they're good, but it's like, again, you watch them like, they're not good enough to win it all. Like they just don't have enough pieces, but they'll be like those guys. And then obviously the Suns, man, if the Suns can stay healthy, the Suns are legit. The Nuggets are legit. Golden State's legit. The Lakers are good. Again, it's all these things are. It just can all these guys play? Especially towards the end. And how are they playing at the end of the season? And if one guy goes down, because again, the NBA now is a different world where you need to have basically 3 fucking legit dudes going on all cylinders, or 2 really good guys in a pretty good third option. But if one of those top 3 guys is gone, and even that, like the benches matter. Like you watched it against the Nuggets. Like I felt like the Lakers had, I think even the Suns, like the Suns didn't have enough dudes like last year. Like you watch the bench and then you look at guys in the clip, and even though obviously they win, you watch the Clippers and like the Clippers got a lot of dudes. Like they had a ton of guys. Like they just happened their top 2 guys weren't fucking playing, but there's a lot of guys on the bench. And so who can be healthy? And then when it comes down to it, if you have to, like what moves are these guys going to make towards the end of the year if they feel like they are close and they got their top 3 guys are actually playing? Because again, the Suns are if KD goes down, the Suns are shit. Like, or Beal or Booker. Same thing. Like, oh, LeBron can't play. Well, good luck. So, but those would be my 4 in each, I think, barring some catastrophic injuries.
I would agree with the 4 in each for sure. And I think the reality is if Denver is as good as they say they are and Jokic is as good as everyone says he is, you're going to win back-to-back. Because that's what all the greats do. That's what all the all-time greats do. So, like the true all-time greats, players and teams. So, if they don't win back-to-back, then that team obviously wasn't as good as we thought it was, in my opinion.
Because they lost a couple dudes, though.
They lost Bruce Brown, which was a real problem for the Lakers. Yeah. He played D'Angelo Russell off the floor. And D'Angelo Russell even said his whole goal this season is just not to be played off the floor. And he's actually improved a lot. He's been looking great defensively for him. He took it to heart, man. Like he went from being like one of the Lakers' saviors after the whole midseason trade, where that team started 1-5, 2-10, and then found their way to be 4 games away from the NBA Finals. And he was a big part of that. But like the Nuggets completely got in his head and exposed him on defense. So. And they had a lot of key additions, I think, defensively on the wings that could give Denver trouble. So in terms of like a reload, I think the Lakers are poised to at least take it 6 or 7 games if they face the Nuggets. But again, I'm most concerned about Phoenix because Kevin Durant is just I don't know, he's just a problem, man. He's just a problem out there. When you have that level of spacing with those other threats, you can't guard a 7-footer shot. You just can't do it.
Well, no, and it's like, does Anthony Davis guard him? Like, is that what we're talking about?
I mean, it might be Vanderbilt.
I mean,
but good luck.
That's what I mean. I'm like, and if those guys aren't by the basket, it's like, okay, well, KD's drawing everybody out, and it's like, okay, Booker can just do whatever he wants to do. Or, again, there's nothing against Austin Reeves or whoever. I'm like, you're guarding Booker, dude? Like, no. Like, there's just dudes who, and it's not a knock against Reeves. Like, he's great. There's just dudes who aren't guardable. And there's really nothing you can do, especially when, like, you're not the number 1 guy. Or it's like, oh, just leave Beal out there. It's tough, man, when you got 3. Again, it was like Golden State, like with KD and Clay and Steph were so fucking good. It's like, if one guy is not on, it doesn't matter because these other 2 guys are, and again, you're talking, especially like that team, top 5 shooters of like all fucking time. Like it's insane to see. So it'll be, if the Suns can be healthy, man, they're going to be a problem for the Lakers and for anybody.
So what's a more likely finals? Milwaukee against Denver or Boston against the Lakers, which would be that's like the dream scenario because now you got both of these teams, 17 championships going for the 18th against each other. Like that's kind of the dream. I think if you're a macro NBA fan and you're not just thinking about your own personal. Again, I'm biased as a Lakers fan, but I'm just saying what's best for the league. Though a Denver-Milwaukee matchup, the 2 true number 1s in both conferences would also be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like it would be for people who are young, they don't give a shit. But if it was like because they don't know, like if it was Lakers Celtics, it'd be cool just to see.
Yeah,
and you saw it, the KG in Kobe finals, you got a piece of it. But like just because of the history forever, I think the Bucks Nuggets would be cool, or even like again, if the Suns can be if they're fun to watch, like the Suns Bucks will be badass too. Just because I think that'd be if the Suns are shit, who knows? But I'm like, it's tough because like you have to be good. It's just like you just figure like you got three insanely talented guys. Like, how are you gonna keep them under 110, 115 points a night when three guys can easily get you 30 apiece? Like, there's 90 points right there just off by accident.
Yeah, no, I don't know what. Though it would be nice to see the Lakers against the Bucks too.
That'd be cool.
And then I'm like a true sellout to all the people back home.
Yeah, that's tough. Like that's why again, what I always say, like everybody has a different stance. Like my view is just like you're just born into whatever you're born into.
That's true.
Like I look at NBA teams as like how I would think of like a class system of like socialism shit where it's like you're class 1, class 2, and you're just fucking stuck there, which I don't think for the world is I think it's fucking terrible. But for like sports, like I'm from Minnesota, dude. Like this is just you get what you get. Like this is your team. Like it's tattooed on your face and you can't change it no matter how shitty they are. You get lucky with the Packers because you get, Favre and Rodgers for 100 years. But like us, like you're Timberwolves. Like you're good, but you'll never be good enough. You're the Vikings, you're good, but you'll never be good enough. Like, so I stay with the home, but you would win-win because it's like you're from Milwaukee and now you're a diehard Lakers fan. So it works across the board.
So, I mean, look, I would, by the way, for mental health purposes, the appropriate way to be a fan of any league is to have 3 teams in order, right? So Lakers are my number 1. Number 2, honestly, like because I've been a LeBron fan, so I really loved the Miami Heat. Kind of fell in love with the culture, Spo, Riley, and I wanted to see them win against Denver in this past finals. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But I'm happy to put Milwaukee as my 3rd team in terms of like again, I still watch the games anxiety free because again, I only have anxiety about Lakers games. But I would, if the Lakers aren't going to win, I would love to see Milwaukee. I got no problem with it. But again, I'm also not going to be one of these fake ass fair weather fans. I was never really a Bucks fan. Though again, like I told you via text, I did like the Vin Baker, Glenn Big Dog Robinson, Ray Allen squad.
Oh, yeah.
Classic purple green uniforms that they went away from. Like that was to me like peak Milwaukee basketball. But MJ was 90 miles away. And I got WGN, so I can watch all their games, and I get to see the greatest player ever to play. So it was just, what do you want me to do?
Well, that's why I tell people too. I'm like, we could watch I don't get why you're such a Jordan fan. I'm like, well, for one, greatest of all time, but I'm like, we would get WGN, so we would watch all the Bulls games, and I don't even know if the Timberwolves games are on fucking TV, dude. Like maybe they were, but like I'm rooting for like Tom Gugliotta or like Pooh Richardson or J.R. Ryder. Like that's going to be like that's my diehard team. Like they're trash when I can just do everything via the Bulls and like live through Jordan.
So are you? What's your hierarchy? It's Timberwolves and then Suns.
Yeah, probably at this point. Like I'll root for the Suns. I don't again, but if I watch them, like I wait until I let the year play out to see like how much I give a shit, and like anytime I would have liked to seen the Heat win over the Nuggets. Now I got nothing against like Jokic and those guys, but I just think like the Jimmy Butler's a better story because it's like I root for the guys who like you shouldn't really be there. It's hard to root. And again, I used to hate Golden State. Like I'm like, fuck those guys. And then after a while, I'm like, actually, I kind of like them. Like they're fun to watch. Like I wanted LeBron and Cleveland to beat them because they had been beating everybody's ass for so long. So not like I wasn't emotionally invested into it, but it's like I kind of go season by season of like what team I can get behind. Especially like if you got it's the players, right? Like you follow the players. Like it's really hard to otherwise you're cheering for jersey colors, at the end of the day. So it's like I kind of follow like who's on what team and like that's what I do.
It's like this classic arc where like you start, you dislike and then you hate and then all of a sudden it kind of transcends into respect. Like I hated Tom Brady, and I'm like at the end, okay, 7 Super Bowls, okay, all right, I give up. I step away. Steph Curry, it's like, come on, what? I used to just die inside every time he would just catch the ball when playing whoever it was, just because he's going to make the shot. He's going to make the shot. And he's going to there's guys out there like Durant, Curry, like they don't have bad misses. Like it either like it goes all the way through the net and almost rips the net, or like maybe it rolls out. Worst case scenario, it rolls. There's no air balls. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys don't even have bad misses. You got to show respect.
Well, they take the hardest shots too, but it is true because like I remember watching that OKC series against Golden State, and they're up I think 2-0, and Golden State just comes back, but it's like on the most insane Curry fucking 30-footers off the dribble, not even looking at the basket. I'm like, okay, I'm like, how can I? This is like what I'm watching is never going to happen again in my lifetime, and probably never going to happen again. So it's like, even if I like don't root for the team, like I have to appreciate like the mastery of like watching it happen in real time, like how insane some of these dudes and teams are. But it's tough for people to admit, like, oh, the Packers suck. I'm like, yeah, I can say that, but I'm like, Rodgers was smoking, dude, for fucking 10 years, and Favre was good for 10 years. Like, they're just good, dude. Regardless if I like the Lakers or not. And I'm like, if I'm like, I don't like LeBron, I'm like, I can't deny, like, he's fucking all time, dude. Like, it's just, you have to take away your personal bias, I think, sometimes. And that's really hard to admit, like, oh yeah, like the team I hate is fucking awesome.
I'll leave one prediction here, and this comes with the possibility of a season-ending injury in Game 1. But I'm going to predict that Anthony Davis is the league MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year this year. So I'm going to just leave that, and I will likely eat it if he gets hurt. But I feel like he's 30, bro, and LeBron is literally passing the torch this year as the face of the franchise, and it's either now or never for AD.
Yeah, I mean, that's to do both in this day and age. I mean, that's some Jordan shit.
It is, and he's, by the way, he's the best defensive player I've watched a lot of basketball, and he's the best defensive player I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy. He had 5 blocks in the first quarter. The last preseason game, he blocked all 5 of Nurkic's shots in the first quarter. He's that type of cat when he's locked in, and I think he made the mistake in the last 2 seasons of trying to get heavier. Where again, like we talk about this all the time, like you gotta understand your natural weight class. You know, you're not a 260 plus guy. You're that 240 guy who can run all over the floor, and 20 less pounds, what it means over the course of a season, or you could say 20 added pounds, what it can do to your body over the course of a season. So you have any wild predictions to finish off with here?
I mean, the Anthony Davis one's pretty wild, dude. I mean, it could happen, but I don't know. I mean, like, if things played out, like, it's tough. The MVP is always hard too, because like the team has to be legit. But who really is I guess I always go like, whether it's MVP or not, like, who really is the best guy on earth? Like, is Jokic really the best dude? Like, if you had a draft, like, would you take him first, like, or would you take Giannis first? Like, so if the Bucks are legit, like, Giannis is the MVP, dude, like, to me. Or if it's the other way, like, I don't know who for the Suns is so breakout that, like, they just go ahead and above. So it'll be interesting to see. But I would guess Giannis MVP. Like, I could roll with that because I really do think right now in this moment of time, like, he is the best. He's the fucking dude I'd roll with because he's a problem, man.
I think the most fun matchup is Giannis AD, because those two guys, like, it's 2 7-footers that are like legit the top two-way players in the league in their primes. Giannis has the edge on physicality, strength. Davis has the edge on touch, shot. But I mean, it's literally a draw when those two guys play.
Yeah, they're both. I think when people watch, like again, that's if Davis can stay healthy. I don't know if he's ever played 82 games or anywhere close. Not that he has to play all 82, but can he just not be banged up consistently over time? But yeah, when you watch, like that's why I tell people, like, just regardless of if you like guys or not, like how amazing it is. Like imagine Anthony Davis like in 1972 or Giannis in 1991. Like you would drop them into a series and be like, what is this fucking alien doing here on the court right now? Like, how is this even possible? So yeah, they're just both like freak of the freaks, man.
So before we close out and kind of push what we got going on, I'm going to make a push. I'm going to make a call to the people, and I am pushing for Jeremy Scott to be in the next NBA All-Star Celebrity Game during All-Star Weekend. I want to see you out there just fucking one last hurrah, drop 30 points against like Kevin Hart's. You're at the level now, man. With this podcast, you're at the level.
If it's like all old dudes, like I remember like what was it one time? It was like Obama's like secretary or like one of Obama's like dudes who was in his cabinet was like out there and he had been like in his 50s and he's just fucking cooking dudes.
He was cooking, yeah, he was.
I forget what his role was, but
I think it was either security or he was like it wasn't chief of staff. It was but yeah, he was high up there, and I think he actually played in the regular Obama pickup games too.
Well, it's tough too because like you watch. I think if you're like a bigger dude, it's easier to play as you're older. Like if you were the guy, like let's say a teammate of mine who's like 6'7", 6'8", and they always kind of played that way. It's easier than if your game was like you're fast and athletic, and then now you're not fast and athletic anymore, and you have to like play kind of old man basketball. Like you get smarter, but yeah, that would be tough, man. It's like everything. It's like in fitness, it's humbling to see your natural regression of just athleticism. It just no matter how you fight it, it just has to go that way. Like, and in your brain, you can deny it for a long time, but then you're just like, yeah, I can't do that anymore the way I used to do it. But against like a Kevin Hart, like, yeah, I think I'd be okay.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, you got to talk to your boy Ryan Russillo to hook this up, because this would be must-watch TV. You can still dunk, and the jumper is still wet.
Do you remember we remember watching when T.O. played in it like years, like probably 10 years ago, maybe even longer?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, real athletes. Like T.O. is a fucking problem, dude. He's probably like 40 at the time, maybe.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is, and then you see like he's there and like Justin Timberlake's there, and you're like, okay, yeah, there's a difference, dude.
Yeah. I mean, again, like this is my dream for you. For me to be able to tune in to see this. Come on, man. I feel like it has to happen. So I'm going to make a push for that. Let the people listening, what are you cooking? What's new down the way, and where can they find out, learn more about you?
You guys, the Jeremy Scott Fitness podcast. We just did one this morning. We're there all the time. JeremyScottFitness.com. The app is there too for you guys. And then we've got a mastermind group kicking off for a lot of people who are looking to just whether you're solopreneur, entrepreneur, you maybe want to go career changes, or you have a business but you want to kind of move it to another level. A buddy of mine who's been very, very successful, him and I are going to kind of tag team that. The start of 2024, if you guys are looking to kind of level up those things, we got that going on. But I'm like BJ, I'm around. I share all the shit all the time, just pumping out stuff. I don't want to say it feels like aimlessly, like we have a plan, but at this point, I'm like, I don't know, anybody who's done a job for long enough, you just like sometimes ask yourself, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing today? Like, how much more, like, I don't know. It's like, it's weird because like, what you do matters and it's important, but you're like, how much more fitness does the world need? Like, am I going to make another workout today? Like, is that really what I'm doing? But if you want them, we have more content than anybody, I think, out there. So if you guys are looking for stuff, we are there. But if you follow BJ, like, you got a good one here.
Likewise, man. No, you can't go wrong when you're following people that live it, have just as much wisdom and experience as anyone else out there. But again, we talk about this all the time. Like that's, I think, why we are so impressed with what LeBron's doing is that, to do what both of us do at this age, and to do it at this level, and to also still maintain the level of physical conditioning, it's not easy. Not a lot of people do it. So, I think that's part of why we gravitate towards each other. You can follow what we do at the BJ Gaddour podcast, iTunes and Spotify. Half the episodes of Jeremy Scott, but we're doing our best over here. And at BJ Gaddour, all outlets. And again, if you're a trainer listening, I am offering for the first time in the history of my content, I'm going to be doing a special kind of licensing or white label opportunity where you can get all of my 2023 content and use it to build your own online business in 2024. So stay tuned for that. I've been talking to our boy Pat Rigsby about it, so we're going to be partnering up on that. And
like it'd be like your videos and shit.
Yeah, man. Like basically all 90 instructional follow along workouts I made this year, they'll be able to basically white label license. And I spent $10,000 of my own money just producing it, not to mention all the time filming, editing, programming, which no trainer is ever going to do. I mean, again, like people don't even make 10 of these. So I'm appreciative that, it's like 20 years of work coming, but it reminds me of just like when I first got into the streaming business, like it would have taken $250,000 to do what we just did this past year. But I've learned so much. We film in my house. My wife films, so it's just crazy to look back on. I know you feel the same way, like this, like to create this radio show you've created as you do so lean. 10 years ago, this would have been like a multi-million-dollar endeavor to be able to do it.
The technology has made the barrier for entry way better and way easier and made things way more accessible for everyone, which is pretty awesome, especially like when you've got the content behind it. It's like when they get the stuff, like, is it it's your actual video. So like,
yeah, like all the PDFs of the workouts, all the videos. And again, like we generated from that investment over $250,000 revenue just from that content. And they're going to be able to access it for a fraction of the cost. So it's exciting because, again, I think we're both at phases where, look, you're doing the mastermind thing because you realized at some point, you're going to always continue to share workouts in your own way. But maybe instead of a daily workout, at some point it becomes a workout of the week or a workout of the month, because we need to keep, watering our own plants and feeding our own souls and being continually challenged and trying new stuff. So now you're going to the point where you're like, let me show you how I built this business in my own image and I live my life on my own terms and my own way. There's no more valuable asset than that. And then you're allowing people to go do that. They'll never be Jeremy Scott, but they'll be who they're intended to be at the highest level. And that impact is exponential. And it's funny too, because I actually started like heavily with trainers and the impact of, because, dude, they need us. Half the industry left during the pandemic. And just from when I've talked to people like, Justin Ewell, and he's heavily involved in stuff like that. Apparently the trainer today is like not as smart as the trainer was 10 years ago. So it's going to take guys like you and I sharing our knowledge and passing down our unique skills to help them stay in the game and flourish, so that it's exciting to be at the point in our careers where this has actually worked for us, where we can have a conversation about the NBA 2023 season in this way, which I had a blast with, by the way. But now we're in a position where we can just start really sharing our wisdom and knowledge to empower the next generation, man. That's what it's all about.
Well, yeah, because it's such a weird, and like our stuff for sure, the fitness is such a weird field. Like there's no natural path. Like
no.
It's a fucking Wild West, dude. And like of what people think they want to do versus what reality is. And again, that does always change and shift too. Because like you don't think about it when you start it. You don't think about it when you're 22. You're like, oh, what do I want to do in 25 years? I'm just going to keep doing fitness. And like, maybe you will, like some people love it, but, and again, I'm not against it, but I'm saying I'm just tired today. I'm fucking here. It's a Sunday and I'm like, I got to be back here tomorrow at like 5 a.m. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do that tomorrow. No, I'll do it because I have to. But I'm like, how many more Mondays do I want to do that? Or how many more, workout programs do I want to create? And like, can I get excited about? And not that like there's not a need for it in the marketplace, but it's like, and that changes and evolves too, which is, again, there's no rules here. We're just making this shit up as we go.
There's no rules. And there's neither a ceiling nor a floor when it comes to this business. That's what's kind of crazy, but it really is like, after all these years of, being at the start of online fitness, there is no floor and no ceiling to this. And that's great for the people that are willing to just go out there and just like fuck the world in the face. But if you're not lucky or blessed or both, people are in and out of this industry in 6 months.
Yeah, I would not, that's not to talk anybody out of it, but I would not want to jump in fresh in 2023 to the ecosystem or the environment. If you love it, like, yeah, you'll be fine. Because there's always going to be a place for people who like are really good and really give a shit, whether that be in person or online. But it is, I don't know, like there just seems like there'd be, but again, you have to like what you do. There would be easier routes to make money for sure than make this be the primary thing that you do in your life. If money was the main concern to you, because you have to die for this, like for a long fucking time to gain any traction, or at least I had to.
Just like these guys in the NBA, all the talent, and like I said, these guys have all the talent in the world, and you get to that final level, the boss level in the video game, and it's like, oh shit, I can't just be good. I got to be the best in and out of the gym, on and off the court. Dude, this was an absolute pleasure. If we get good feedback on it, maybe we'll jump on mid-season or playoff preview if we get to that point. But really enjoyed this. If you're not listening to Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast radio show, you got to check it out. And any final closing thoughts?
No, I just I can't wait to see the Suns actually play like legitly play and see how good they are. But yeah, hopefully people like this. If not, fuck it. Take what you want, leave the rest, man. Just yeah. Sometimes I just listen to podcasts. I'll turn someone on just to listen to people talk in my car versus just listening to music or like some depressing ass news station all the time. So it serves a purpose.
Well, so let me close on that, because part of why I love the season. It gives you something to look forward to. It motivates me to see athletes go through the ebbs and flows, deal with injuries. But, ultimately, like, I use it as a great time for my recovery. I'm either in the Normatex, getting some compression on my legs, my arms, or my hips. Oftentimes I'll just do some stretching or mobility work during the game, especially important. Like if the season's not going well, it's hard for me at this age to give away 2 hours of my life. But if I'm stretching and doing mobility work, it's great. They lost. Okay, it's terrible, but at least I did something good for me. So, or I'll get my Power Dot electric stim on. I'll hit my quads and get a little quad workout going. So for those that are stressed out, look, man, stress, for the guys listening, stress, it kills your dick. Okay. True. It kills your bank account. It kills your joy. So you've got to be proactive about finding ways to, like, both for Jeremy and I, this is like, it's nostalgia. It's also just like connecting with something that was important to us when we were young. It's a break from reality. It's like a safe space. It's a safe space. Like everything is negative around us. And, that's why you and I both love to do that daily walk. No one ever gets in there's no negativity on that daily walk, right?
Well, it's like it's one of the only times I can just not have people fuck with me. I can't read anything. I don't see anything. I'll do a video for you guys or whatever, and then I'll pop off because I'm like, otherwise I just got shit going on all day, man. It's like, it's helpful. And then sports too. Sports is escapism, especially if you get lost in a game, like you give a shit about it. And it's like, your heart rate goes up and down as the game goes up and down. Like it's a cool thing because you don't get that in your normal life. It's typically just you're in that fight or flight shit with most of your work and, you know, your kids and your traffic and whatever. So sports is a gift, man, for sure.
I'm thankful for it, man. All my closest friends, for the most part, are former athletes, whether I played with them or not. I've always loved gamers, red light performers, and it's fun to just have something, you know, to look forward to. Something to look forward to. A lot of these games. And by the way, this opening week is incredible. We've got Lakers against Nuggets night one, and then there's going to be the Lakers play the Suns, I think, a day or two later. So we're going to find out a lot about where people are in this first week.
No, it's legit, man. I'm excited.
Thank you guys for listening. 5-star ratings and reviews are so appreciated. The 5-star just takes a second. And as I tell all the people on my podcast, for a review, just say BJ Podcast Good. I'm asking for 3 words. It doesn't have to be a short story. It doesn't have to be grammatically accurate. And I'm sure Jeremy feels the same way. What do you tell them? I recently offered a French kiss for a 5-star review.
I was telling them, like, if you like it, dude, and we've given you any value at all, at any point, whether it be on Instagram or YouTube or emails or the podcast, like, give me 90 seconds. On Spotify, it takes probably 10. On Apple, you can actually write some words and drop a 5-star. Like, you're giving away hours and hours of free shit. Like, and nobody does this at restaurants. Typically, only people, they leave reviews when negative shit happens. So if you like people and you want them to keep doing this shit for free, leaving a review is probably the least you can do.
And buy some Athletic Greens, also called AG1. Links in show notes, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy the NBA season, and thanks for sharing your day with us. Peace.